I just completely destroyed a $3,000 panel. Let me get my brain bean juices flowing for this bad boy. We've got the tailgate, the tub, the second-hand rear quarter, and the brand new rear quarter. These are gonna need to start getting cut up. Once we sort that out, we can then really kind of finalize the tailgate, and then we just wait for this damn panel brand new. I'll get it eventually. So I think the first thing we need to do is cut up this tub so I know it's going to fit into the car. When the tub was sitting in the car last, I drew some pencil marks on where it needs to be cut. How fucking cool does it already look? I trimmed along here. It needs to drop down considerably. I have this little lip that needs to come off. And then the same thing over here. So we just have the base. Just looking at this thing just puts a big old smile on my dial. Once we've got the base in, we can work out the height, trim all the way across the bottom, like cut across there. So then the roof is at the right height. We've got a little bit more that we need to drop down. So I would say it's probably, that's maybe 60 mil that we need to drop it down. And then I'll put it all back together and see what it looks like. This is so cool. Now we have our next issue. The roof is cut to the right height, and I was even able to keep the transition flat. That is a major win. But the next issue is this whole line sits up high. The M3 panel kind of tapers off at the bottom. So back here is like 50 to 60 mil too high. At the front, it's a little bit less, say 20 to 30. Every step is going to need a large amount of thinking, planning, measuring, cutting. And I think we're only in the thinking stage because I don't want to make any mistakes. Let me get my brain bean juices flowing for this bad boy. Okay, now that we've got everything cut up, I can start piecing things together and work out where more bits need to be cut. As you can see, this is the tailgate and the jumbuck tub is too tall. The plan is I basically need to cut this whole section off just to get rid of it completely. I'll offer the rear quarter up just so you can get a better picture of what it's going to look like and how it's all going to fit together. Whoops. This has to be removed, and I probably need to build this entire wall from scratch. If I can keep this piece intact, you can see that there's a little seam just going across here. So that's one piece. This is the radius. I can unpick across here and then maybe just tilt the whole thing down a little bit more. So it'll be a little bit more straight down and then sweep across so I can get it low enough so it's in line with the M3 quarter. Yes, that is a much better plan. Let's do that, Lewis. Yeah, baby. That would be an absolute nightmare for me to make that. Yeah, this is gonna work. This is sick. Unpick these, unpick the inside, and then this whole section will come off in one nice clean piece. Nice. Taking more and more off. Every now and then I think, no, we're at the rebuilding stage. And then I just cut more panels off. that clears up the majority of our issues. Now I just need to get this out of the way and the rear quarter can go on, which is absolutely awesome. The sooner this thing looks like an M3, I don't know, the happier I'll be. I'm already happy. Yeah, I'm already happy. Next step, I've had a look at it, cut straight across. I don't need any of this. I've got the internal wheel arch that's gonna come up and cover all of that anyway. Cut straight down. Just get rid of it all. I do have a little aluminium plate under here that I'll need to remove. We want to push this in and then it's almost lined up with the original. We might just need to dock the corner off and then we can still use this part to spot weld everything back together. Now, that can be pushed in further and that then clears. Yeah, cool. Now we can cut all of this out, offer up the panel, and then probably cut some more. I don't know. Fuck yeah. Okay. Oh no, I put the clamps too far away. God damn it. Okay. Oh my God. Oh, it just looks so fucking good. Okay. So. Oh, yes. That honestly looks and works so ridiculously well. This top lip that gets spot welded lines up absolutely perfectly with this bit from the jumbuck. Like, what the hell? Did they plan for me to do this? Did they plan for someone to do something this ridiculous? It seems like it. Holy cow. So, we just, it's gonna work. Oh my God. Down there. Yeah, right. And then I can just trim that. Holy cow. What the hell? We have had some huge questions answered while cutting up in this video. I think I now have a really good plan of action and how to get this assembled. So, I'll try to run through it as best I can and then fix it up in editing if I need to put it in a different order. You know what? Fuck you, Workshop Lewis. So we remove this side panel, we adjust the rear panel, get it sitting in the center. I can then get the other rear quarter, put it on the other side, and then know that it's all gonna fit. The spot welds are gonna line up with the spot welds. We then treat it as 4 separate panels. We get the rear panel in position, finalized. We get the base in position, finalized. We then spot weld them together, bring them together. From there, we create 2 panels, both sides, incorporating these as the wheel arch. We spot weld that to the base, both sides. At that stage, we have an E30 tub assembly, which is awesome. The absolute majority of this rear quarter is still going to use all of its factory locations for its spot welds. All we're going to need to do is join the upright panel, the wheel arch panel, from here to here, as well as make a plate that holds a latch for the tailgate. The tailgate's already built. I'm a little shocked at how well all of these dimensions are lining up and how easy it's all coming together. I'm now really confident that when I take the brand new panel out and start cutting it up, that I will be cutting it up in the right spot. Let's build an E30 Ute. $13.70, half of $13.70, $6.50. God damn it. $13.70. $15 off 700. $6.85. That took too long. We've now got the overall width, so I can halve it, mark across either side, and then we know where exactly we need to cut on this panel, both sides. This can fold in. I can then cut a section out of this corner to make sure I'm still keeping it within the allotted distance. Then this bit is basically ready, other than I need to pull this little bit of track off. But $6.85 from the center, we are not far off. Oh man, that's so good. We're cutting an extra 15 mil off. Sick. I think that's pretty much all of the modification I'm going to need to do to this. Obviously, I've just tacked things together to make sure they work, but I've brought it all in to the point where it should be inside the rear quarters, and these spot weld locations should match up with the spot weld locations on the E30, which is nuts. Let's test it. How do I do this? This is going to look awkward. We're still just slightly too big. How much are we too big? Like 5 mil. Eee. It's so close. Yarg. I gotta get it closer. Give me a second. Like some of it lines up.
Yeah.
Let me just get this on. And we're good. I think the time has come. I'm having a lot of trouble with the second-hand panels just because they're so far gone on the lower section. I can't, it doesn't fit right. I had this one up just a second ago to see how much better it fits, and it's a brand new genuine panel. It fits perfectly. Getting the inner wall just here, I need exact measurements. I can't build something when it's not sitting properly, which now brings us to the time where I cut up the brand new panel that I've got. I'm gonna cut up, across in this corner, and then down. I don't need all of this, but I don't know where it's gonna end up exactly, so I'm gonna leave it on there. Oh, I'm nervous. All right, let's just do it. I don't want to do this. Oh, I hope I did that right. Fuck, that looks so good. Yeah, sick. I just completely destroyed a $3,000 panel for what I hope is the right reason. Honestly, you really cannot beat OEM. It just fits so nicely. Everything lines up. I've got to take the second skin of the B-pillar off, and then that will sit flat. But just everything is so clean. This is going to be an absolute dream to reattach to this car. I've got the inner wheel arch, so that's going to be a breeze. Whoop, sorry door. The car kind of reminds me of like Two-Face right now. Like, yeah, sick, look at that. And then you go over the other side and you're like, oh, what the hell happened? With all of the questions that I had being pretty much answered with the brand new panel, I'm so glad I've gone with the brand new one over the second-hand one. It's just, again, so clean. Now that I know a little bit more of how it's all going to go together, I think everything comes off. Start prepping the chassis so that when I am ready to weld that bed frame down, it's not going to corrode, it's not going to get shitty in the future. Let's keep carrying on. We've made such great progress in the last couple of days, or even the last couple of weeks. Let's keep kicking goals and getting this thing done. I found another issue that I now have to fix that first. On the bed, there is a rail and it sits up 5 to 6 mil, which was creating a rock in the bed. It wasn't my frame. Funnily enough, I did that pretty well. But what it does mean is that I can either have the front of the car sit lower, which I really need to make sure that the back panel, the jumbuck back panel, fits the rear fender, rear quarter panel. So I can push it down and that works out well for there, but then I'm pushing it up here, which then puts this level out. So I have to fix that issue. I have to cut out part of the bottom of it and put a channel in just to make sure that it's going to sit down flat on the rest of the bed. I'm just going to mess around off camera. Hello, scam hotline. Ah, dang it. What was I talking about? Dang it. I'm going to do all of that stuff on the frame off camera because it would be a lot of talking when it's just going to be easier for me to have it there sitting and you go, oh yeah, that makes sense. Let me do that. Then I'll probably get caught up doing something else because I have to say I apologize to editing Lewis. You're so lucky, pal. You're so lucky. I also don't know what I'm doing. This video is going to be a nightmare. I started with intentions of doing one thing and I've just forked off every time I thought, yep, that's what I need to do. It wasn't what I needed to do. I needed to do something before that, and then before I got to that bit, I needed to do something before that bit. I apologize if this video is a little bit chopping and changing. There's just a lot of small things that need to be done, and there's no manual on this. There's no, well, this is step 58. You should have done this first. I'm just making it up. Thanks for sticking with me. Modified. Hopefully successfully. So you can see that one, and then the same thing over the other side, sit a little bit higher. I needed clearance. So I've cut out train tracks, then gotten some 75 by 25, cut out the frame, then sunk in a bit of extra steel, just so it has clearance for these two lines, chassis lines, I guess. I can flip this over and now I can finally do the slats. And that is a great success. You can see the frame is just sitting down lower. We've got clearance all the way around and it's still got a lot of strength to it. From the Base to that corner is 780 both sides, so we're sitting nice and even. Another small win. First one, number one, made a mistake. Ay, ay, ay. Really strong foundation to build up from. All of these slats are in line with the spot weld, so I can just plug weld those bad boys down. This is gonna be really strong. Now that I've got like a pretty good idea, I can send all of these pictures to my engineer. He can go, yep, that's good. Or he can go, we've got to remove both wheel arches and both of these little bits of the B pillar. Now let's tackle the wheel arch and get that out of the way as well. I cannot get in there with a drill, so I'm gonna have to sand every spot wheel down, and there is just like a huge amount of seam sealer on the inside. It's gonna be a little bit, it's not gonna be as straightforward as I had hoped, but it's coming off one way or another. Actually, that was a joke, but I think that's actually a terrific idea. Look, Ma, no clearance issues. Look at all of this space we got. Sweet. That's one side off. We've done the B pillar, so now I just need to do the exact same thing on the other side. And I think we're getting real close to not having to take whole panels off. Surely I've forgotten about something, but I think we're really close. Like, there's not much left to cut off the car. I've sanded everything in this to 80 grit. I have rust treated the whole cage with dioxidine and some red Scotch-Brite. I just want to get this prepped. Picked up some paint. I shouldn't need to prime. This is everything. The only thing is, if you put this on there, you can never paint it with anything else ever again, which is fine. It's just a satin black. This will all be one beautiful color. Before we do that, I've dug out some of the seam sealer just to get that platform as low as I can. I need to etch prime all along here and then re-seam seal, and then I can put that black coating on it. Just slap it on there. Get it all covered. I've never done seam sealer. I've seen other people do it. Can't be that difficult. I'm gonna mask it up. I've got some cheap like Bunnings brushes so I can give it that OEM look. But again, I don't really have any experience doing this. That was the absolute first time I've ever done seam sealer, and I'm not disappointed. I think I did that pretty well. Surely someone out there is going to go, oh boy, Lewis, you buffoon. Why? Why did you do that so poorly? And to that I say, because I have no idea what I'm doing. I really don't. Cool. Okie dokie. We are sealed. It's the next morning. It's all dry. And I just want to show you something that I've noticed. So I removed this bracket over here yesterday, and it took me a couple minutes. I've gone maybe a little bit deep on the spot weld drill bits, but when you look at that and compare it to what I did when I first started this project, like, there is a huge difference in skill, patience, ability. There's a hole there, hole there, hole there, hole there. And how much just a little bit of time, a little bit of learning can improve your skills. And good work, me. Good work. Now that I've said that, I've got to repair this. All of the holes are gone. It's not ideal, but in an ideal world, I wouldn't even have to make this car because BMW would have already done it. So, I mean, you take what you get. We're primed. Time to bog. So anywhere that's primed that doesn't have seam sealer, I'm gonna put a little bit of bog on. You can see I've just got these little spot weld drill bit points that I want to clean up. I believe everything is now prepped. Towers are looking a little bit nicer. Again, you never believe this, I've never bogged a car before. I've done builder's bog on like window frames, but never anything on cars. So, another first. Came up pretty good. Let's just slap some paint on there. I'm gonna do 2 coats of this, wait an hour in between the first coat. And there we go, all one color. For those of you wondering why I've brushed the cage is gonna be hidden behind interior trim parts. I wanna keep the interior still looking OEM, and I can't think of any cars that have like a structural cage showing. It'll all be hidden behind upholstered things, panels, whatever. That's the first coat. I'll give this a little bit to dry and then do the second coat. We are all dry. Came up pretty good. I've put the plugs back in. There are 2 holes, one here and then one over there that I've put little grommets in. They had the cables coming up for the fuel tank. I'm going to seam seal the fuel tank hatch closed, and then if I need to change the fuel pump, it's going to have to be dropping the whole fuel tank. We've got 2 sets of news, good news and bad news. First news is I've gotten a part-time job, so I do this a little less. I've gotten a job in a bottle shop, so it means that I can close there, but come to the workshop first thing, mess around here, then go to work. Other news, engineer came, and this frame is too strong. If I was to get rear-ended, because this is such a solid frame, it would push the whole frame forward and basically crush me. Which, I mean, as much as I plan to not get rear-ended, can't really make solid not getting rear-ended plans, sadly. The engineer did give me a way out without completely getting rid of this or destroying it. So we need crush zones. In the rear, I've got to cut out a couple of triangles, close them up with some sheet steel, but then if I am to get hit, there's a bit of a zone that can fold in. All of these middle slats need to be cut out and replaced with 1.2 mil folded steel. So they'll still be 25 by 50, but it will mean there's less rigidity in it. So with these crush zones, we can aim the force down and they can buckle in without sending the whole frame forward. The next bit that I have to do is on either side of the frame, I have to cut this down to 30 mil and then weld a piece of sheet steel on there again, so there is a point for it to crumple. With all that said, I don't think it's too much of an inconvenience to cut it all up. I've ordered the slats. I don't have anything that can, well, I can cut the sheet, but I can't fold them because I need them 1400. The biggest folder I can get my hands on is about 1200. So let's cut this up, which is a shame, but it has to be done. Cut the V's out of the rear, box all of that up, get it all looking schmicko, and then when the slats come in, I'll weld all of the slats on, and then this can be fitted into the car. And then it's just a big rolling ball of putting panels on and getting this car looking more and more like a ute. So hopefully this now makes a little bit more sense. I've had to thin out this bit here. If I get hit from this end, I have a crumple spot here, and then I have a crumple spot here, instead of this whole thing just going bloop straight into my back. Thanks, Sot. Thanks for thinking of me when I'm getting rear-ended. That is everything cut off of the frame. We've got our triangles cut out. We've got the sides cut out. Now we just need to plate everything. Hopefully that breaks if I get into a rear ender. No, actually, hopefully I never find out if it needs to break, because I never get into a rear ender. Yeah, let's go with that one. Good luck, platey boys. Angle. Yeah? I don't want to get these on there too thoroughly because we want them to be a crush zone. I'm thinking if I cut down on the angle, I can then fold one side down and then this larger face in, put some holes in them and then just plug weld them on. Do a couple of folds. So now I can do a hole here, plug weld. Couple of holes here, plug weld. That's all we need to do. 7. I need to do it 7 more times. Okay, just so you all know that anytime you see someone do that click thing like I just did, that's the I can't be bothered filming it part. And I couldn't be bothered filming this. So, I am going to show you the last fold just to show you the technique of what I'm doing and how I'm using the vise to get it all nice and look neat. So let's go over to the vise. Now I know not everyone has a vise. Some people have alcohol, some people have drugs. Mine's called Greg. So we've got our angle cut already. The first fold I'm doing is the larger tab. You can use it to push it over that way. I've got my line marked out. Clamp it on the line, and then as I bring this down, I'm pulling it out. So this tab is getting pushed in, otherwise you can fold it out of square. So pulling it out, this tab wants to stay hard up against the vise, get it level or 90 degrees to the fold, tighten the fold, that's the first bend. We can then use that bend to sit on. You just want to make sure you're coming down square. And then I've just been giving it a little tap inside just to tighten up that fold. Now it's all nice and square and that will fit into our frame quite nicely. We're back to where we were before. We've now got a little less strength in all of these slats. If someone hits me from the corner, the frame is no longer just going to crush me, which is good. It's a good thing. I've emailed the engineer asking how he wants me to fix this down because I've gone over the top initially. I kind of feared that I might under-engineer the point that it joins to, and I was correct. He told me to do more than what I was thinking. The 2 diagonals of the roll cage, the frame gets welded to them. My initial thought was just having a single piece of angle, the width on the middle, plug weld, that's it. He's then said, no, you want to hold it on as much as you can around the perimeter, using the same technique though, where it's angle, I'll nibble out some holes and then plug weld this to the frame and then to the chassis. Then go to the engineer, hey, is this good enough? He can go yes or no. Eden's coming around to give me a hand on Monday. Now, in some really good news, BMW called me the other day. They have my panel. Yes! They have my panel. It's in Germany, it's getting sent, it will be sent over, so maybe 6 weeks maximum, but it means I've got the brand new panel and it has been painful trying to get it. Thank you very much, Mark. You've been a big help. Thank you for sorting it out. And again, Matt, thank you for everything you did. I know you did as much as you could. And I'm really happy to have this panel on its way now. It's been like 5 hours and we haven't done anything. Well, we've talked. It's way more complicated than I thought. I've never built the car, and I'm glad Eden's here because he's kind of explaining it all to me, but god damn it, he has complicated it way more than I thought it would be. Thanks,
Okay.
Eden.
That's what I'm here for. Do you want me to run them through a little bit?
Sure.
So basically, let's start with the gaps. Okay.
Yeah.
First of all, when we first got here, we had to gap everything. And as you can kind of imagine, nothing's actually attached to the car. So we have no idea where the gaps should be. So what we have to work off is anything that's fixed, which is we've got this A-pillar, the roof line, and the sill panel. They're all fixed. So we basically worked off this body line of the quarter into the A-pillar, and the bottom of the door into the sill were kind of the more fixed points. And then all the rest is a little bit floating, and we kind of just massaged until they were kind of like at a happy medium,
This
sort of thing.
This was the first big line that we had to get. Make sure the door gap to the fender is correct.
Yeah, yeah. And then, yeah, we want to make sure like all these body lines are flowing into each other. That is flowing in, the quarter's not quite right because it's not attached.
So then we had an issue with this part of the panel. I had it jacked up just in front of the wheel arch, which, because there's no structure in the back, man, all of this weight was just sagging. So if this part of the panel gets brought down, then this part of the panel gets pulled back. So Eden eventually came up with the idea of moving the jack stands, which fixed a lot of our issues.
Yeah, basically, if you look at this like a big L, what was happening was because there's no jigging in here, it's kind of spread open a little bit, and we just needed to close that. And yeah, so what we're thinking now is we'll weld this frame in, then we'll actually jack the rear of the car up until we can get this door gap to be pretty good and this to line up with the B pillar there.
So to the E30 enthusiasts and people in the know, you may have noticed that I have this fancy door. This is an M3 door. The standard doors, because they have their little bump stop on the side, there's a little bit of a different kind of angle to it. This is an M3 door. It is also an M3 door with an intrusion bar, which you have to have in Australia. Not all M3 doors have the intrusion bar. European delivered ones don't. American delivered ones do, generally speaking, from what I've found out. If you have a right-hand side M3 door and no longer need it, can you please get in contact with me? Because I have one side all M3, the other side I just have the front fender. I do need the intrusion bar in the door to pass my engineering. The story of the door is kind of pretty cool. There's a crash shop in my city that already has an E30 Ute, a well-known Ute. It's kind of the whole reason I'm building my Ute. In the 80s, they repaired an E30 coupe. They needed a door, asked for a door from their local dealership, and they were sent out an M3 door by accident. Instead of BMW asking for the door back, they just sent them out the coupe door. This has been in storage for 35 years. Never been fitted to a car. The first car that this has been attached to is this monstrosity. It was a local pickup, and just to think that there has been a door sitting around for 35 years waiting very specifically to go on my Ute kind of makes me think it was all meant to be. Frame goes in, weld all of the supports in from the cage to the frame. Sick.
Okay.
This isn't coming out.
Okay.
This is going in. Let's just weld this in. The frame is officially welded in. It definitely isn't coming out now. The next step is this was one of the pieces that was originally going back to the outer wheel arch. I'm modifying it. This isn't the piece that I've modified. Where's the piece? This is the piece I'm modifying. It'll come down and then go onto the platform. And then we're gonna do a 25 by 25 angle welded here and then onto there. I hope I've done enough prep. I hope I've done this in the right order. But at the same time, I just really want to get a panel on. This is a huge project. And although I don't think I've bitten off more than I can chew, I'm definitely doing a lot more chewing than I thought I would be. And I feel like I just keep biting and I just keep chewing. Oh. If you're looking at this video in a couple of years' time and you're thinking, you know what? I think I'm going to start this gigantic project. Just watch the rest of this series, because it has been eye-opening how little I know about what I'm doing and what I got myself in for. And I can't stop now. I've just got to build it. Just be aware of how much work is involved in this kind of project. And like, I haven't even gotten to the engine. I've still got rust repairs, fuel, wiring, air conditioning, cooling. This is huge. I'm so glad I didn't know what I was getting myself in for, because I may not have taken up the project. Let's get this wheel arch on. It's been a year since I started it, probably over. Let's weld our first panel onto the ute. Sick. I think down here is the first weld, and I'm gonna work back down that way. I do need to just prep the other face and a couple of bits where I'm going to be MIGging. I'll do that and then we'll weld it on. I hope this all works out. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! Yes! First panel is on. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 panels left. Nice. If I didn't have work in a couple of hours and it wasn't, say, like 9:15 in the morning, I would 100% crack open a beer right now. B-pillar looks really good. Door gap looks really good. Down the bottom, I did have to adjust the door when I took it off jack stands, but it's all looking really good. Let's hope that this is correct. We won't know immediately, but I will eventually find out. That still looks pretty good. Sick. Obviously, there's heaps more welding to be done, and I don't want to completely attach it just yet, because I need to make sure that every other panel is going to kind of work. If this is the first video of mine you've watched, check out the one where I built the tailgate. I learnt a huge amount over that video. You might also enjoy that one. As I said earlier on in the video, I've had to get a part-time job. I've been doing small fabricating jobs here and there as well, just to make it so I can continue doing this without getting a full-time job. I have now heard from BMW Adelaide that they have secured me the other side panel, which is amazing because this whole project doesn't work unless I get the other side. But with this side on, I now have a huge amount of work to be done. Small B-pillar panel, floor, rear wall, strip the roof off, put the roof panel on, get those two married up nice and neatly. There's just like, I think with all of that being said, this video is probably going to be pretty long. Thank you very much for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm sorry it took so long to get out. Life just gets in the way sometimes. Although I want this to be my full-time job, it isn't just yet. So stick with me and let's build an E30 Ute. Cheers.